Welcome to the Bold Life School, the show that empowers you to elevate your life and to step into your full potential. I'm your host, Jameson, and this is where ambition meets authenticity, where you'll find the tools and inspiration to grow, evolve, and thrive. Each week, we dive into powerful topics that challenge the status quo, whether it's to break through limiting beliefs, navigate life's transitions, or embrace the bold moves that push you beyond your comfort zone. Now let's get into today's episode. You finally have time to breathe, take some time off work. You've been waiting for the day, but instead of feeling better, you feel off. You thought the vacation would fix it, that a change of scenery, a break, a few days away would reset everything. But now you're sitting there, staring at the ocean, drink in hand, nowhere to be, and there's this quiet thought in the background. Why do I still feel like something's wrong? I'm recording this from a Caribbean cruise, and what I'm watching in real time is that people don't bring burnout on vacation with them. They bring their patterns. You can tell a lot about someone by how they spend unstructured time, because when there's nothing pulling you in or pulling on you, what your mind does next tells you everything. Even when our environment changes, our patterns keep showing up. And depending on where you fall on the Burnout Signals Spectrum, you'll experience the same exact trip in completely different ways. So if you're a new listener, you may be new to the Burnout Signals Spectrum. It's a method I created to diagnose the specific type of burnout you're experiencing most, based on the signals or patterns that you're giving. Not all burnout is the same. You can experience multiple signals at once. I know I have, but there's usually one that's screaming at you the loudest. So a quick review from left to right on the burnout signal spectrum. You have real burnout, that's about exhaustion, boundary overload, which is about doing too much in the face of obligations. Plateau is about staying the same or in the same place well after you've mastered it. It's kind of like boredom. Misalignment is about being at odds with certain aspects of your job or your life. And overgrowth is about being ready for something bigger or different. So today I'm going to walk you through what each burnout type actually experiences on vacation, how to tell, the activities that either help restore you or expose the real issue, and most importantly, what decision your experience is pointing you towards, and what to do when you get back from vacation. Because this is where most people miss it. They have clarity on vacation. They think, oh, wow, I want my life to be different. But then they lose it the second they re-enter their normal life. So even if you aren't actually on vacation, look for the characteristics that you can see in yourself along the way. Maybe how you've reacted on a recent vacation. Or maybe this will give you some tips on how to plan the best vacation in the future to fit your specific burnout signals. You might just find a few insightful tips to plan the vacation you deserve and desperately need. Let's start with the most obvious one, burnout. All around depletion from life. You came in exhausted and ready to escape it all. What this looks like on vacation is thinking that you'd feel amazing immediately. You've been looking forward to it for months. Instead, you crash, sleep longer than expected. Even fun feels like effort. You don't want to plan anything. And there's a moment, usually day 1 or 2, where you think, why am I this exhausted? I just got here. On the ship, I watched a woman sleep through half the day on one of the deck chairs, not casually, like fully out, under a towel, totally covered, barely moving. And no one was bothering her. I remember thinking, this isn't laziness. This is what happens when your body finally feels safe enough to shut down. She was crashed out. There's also this early morning window. Almost no one is out yet, just quiet ocean, empty chairs, and you can tell the people who need that silence. They're not on their phones scrolling, they're not talking, they're just sitting there, like their system is recalibrating. This type is trying so hard to recover so they can enjoy life, but you can see it's a struggle. So often, ambitious women feel guilty about vacationing and even try to push ourselves to get the most out of vacation. Time is money and we have to be productive, right? No. The best activities, if this sounds like you, are actually about leaning in to the need for rest, relaxation, and recharge. It looks like quiet mornings on purpose. No phones or screens. Solo beach time, maybe a walk. Spa time. Stillness. Nothingness. Naps without guilt. Sometimes the best action is no action. Once a year, I try to take a week-long staycation when I'm really feeling overwhelmed. This helps me recharge with nothing to plan, attend, or pay for on top of real life. I can get caught up at a slower pace and take that much needed break. Vacation doesn't fix burnout. It reveals how deep it actually is. But being physically and mentally tired is valid, so live into it without guilt. And if that's you, the insight isn't necessarily, I need a different job. You may be avoiding admitting that you can't sustain this pace of your life. The insight is your system is more depleted than you thought, and it's time to take care of it. So if you're experiencing this life force depleting burnout, you're probably not ready for big career or life changes. That requires energy. The decision isn't, should I leave right now? Should I flip everything in my life around? No. But instead, am I willing to stop operating at full capacity, at least temporarily, for goodness sakes? You can do a few simple things. First, delay any major decisions for 30 to 60 days. You don't need more. You actually need to reduce your output. Could you reduce it by 20 to 30% immediately? Identify what actually breaks if you stop overperforming, and delegate some of those responsibilities that you can offload. Maybe it's home admin or cleaning, or maybe it is meetings or certain projects. What I'm practicing is that I'm off my phone. I slept the entire way on both flights. I always get a room with a view so I can experience the beauty of the beach, the ocean, but still stay in my room if I want to. And guess what? I want to. So if burnout feels like total collapse, the next one doesn't, because you're still functioning. You're just never turned off. This is boundary overload. What this looks like, you physically left the office, but mentally, you're still at work. Emails, messages, calls, texts. Why are you still managing everything? I saw somebody sitting by the pool, laptop open, phone in hand, AirPods in, and everyone else around her was relaxing. And I just thought, she didn't leave her job. She relocated it to the Caribbean. Now, I love the idea of being a global nomad, working from anywhere. However, that's not what I'm talking about here. This woman is not a global nomad. She just can't turn it off. Even at dinner, you can tell. Quick glances at the phone, half-present conversations. No, I just need to respond to this one thing. And we all know it's never just one thing. To be honest, I'm not even sure how she's managing it. Have you experienced cruise Wi-Fi? It is not good, my friends. So, hopefully, this episode gets to you in a way that you can hear it. There's this subtle tension, like they're physically here, but mentally still somewhere else. Operating at full work life on vacation is dangerous territory because it's signaling lack of boundaries, the inability to say no, to put your own rest at the forefront of your life. What this type needs is actually saying no to work and yes to life. What this type needs is actually saying no to work and yes to life, leaving some things undone, letting things happen without you for once, not looking at your email, Teams, Slack, and phone messages. Instead, tuning into your family, the beauty around you, forcing yourself into nature or other activities that remind you of life, beauty, connection. For ambitious women who carry a lot of responsibility, it can be so hard to break free from the need to control every bit of our circumstances. We don't want to drop any balls. But boundary overload isn't just about workload. This is about allowing too much unfettered access to you. And that's the moment you have to get honest. You didn't create space. You brought the same expectations with you. You may be avoiding looking at what you're actually getting out of being so available, the savior, the fixer 24/7. Do you want to be on vacation or do you want to work on vacation? This is a real question. What do you really want to be doing on vacation deep down if you didn't have all this work stuff on your mind? How's your current behavior on vacation affecting you and the people around you? Because vacation is often an outlet to spend time with those that you care about. And it does become painfully obvious when someone is not mentally or emotionally present. If you recognize yourself, ask, what am I no longer available for? At least on this vacation. And what is the cost of not resting, relaxing, recharging, connecting? And is it worth it? So a few small moves to practice here. Put on your all out of office reminder. I'm always actually very surprised when I do this. It significantly reduces the number of emails I get when I'm away. But my company and colleagues are extremely supportive of PTO, so I feel like one of the lucky ones there. But if you can't do that from end to end while you're away, at least set some non-responsive windows. Some boundaries. Practice delayed response. Just because you receive emails and texts doesn't mean you need to jump on them in the moment. Just say no. No, thank you, period. Get out there and then do some real activities amongst people and also something just for you. You're so used to putting others first, and this should be something that you want to do for you. So burnout feels like exhaustion. Boundary burnout or overload feels like overload. But this next one feels like boredom. Someone who is plateaued in life can find it hard to break the pattern even on the best vacation. What it looks like to be plateaued? Well, everything is fine, beautiful even. But you feel flat, uninspired, or understimulated. There are people here doing everything right. The excursions, the dinners, the shows, and they still look a tad uninterested. Not unhappy, just not lit up. It's like, where's the fire within you? I saw someone scrolling their phone during one of the most beautiful sunsets. Not because they were busy, they just looked totally bored and unengaged, disengaged. And that's the strangest feeling. Nothing is wrong, but nothing is exciting either. We get so used to what we think we must do that when we actually have a choice, we don't even know what to do with ourselves. It's like Stockholm Syndrome. We become used to this cage of narrow circumstances that our lives become, and we don't know what to do with a world of choice and options. This can be particularly difficult if you feel like you used to feel adventurous, energetic, or fun. In order to get out of this pattern of not challenging yourself, you need to remember what challenge, fun, and adventure feels like. It's not typical burnout. This is stagnation. In your real life, you may be avoiding creating a disruption. You don't want to change up everything. To create more challenge for yourself, to grow, to up-level, to learn, because it's easier to stay in the same place. But it is not giving you what you need. You could really use the opposite, expansion. So the best vacation activities for someone experiencing plateau is to get out there and try something new. Disrupt your routine. It was very difficult for me to remember on day 1, 2, and 3 of vacation that I am not to wake up and immediately get on my computer. I had to remind myself of that. Get out there and seek novelty. Expand your world, your experiences. You might find a new skill set or a new mood. Experience joy, and by all means, find it out there in nature, in beauty, in new cultures, in people, in connections. This is your chance to bring in something new, something different, to see what's out there beyond where you're at. And when even vacation feels underwhelming, you have to consider it's not your schedule, it's a ceiling that you may have put on your own life. So ask yourself, what can I do to shake things up? What would I do on vacation if I really wanted to experience growth over comfort? And make a small move. Just choose one expansion move. Act on it. Introduce some novelty immediately. Attend a party. Get out of your room and learn something new. Have conversations with people outside your normal sphere. See the world and experience it in a new way. The guidance is not to shake up everything in your life at once, but to start exploring something different. And there you may rekindle your passion, adventure, thrills, and even joy. So if plateau feels like boredom, the next one, it feels louder. It's misalignment. This burnout signal shows up when something in your life or job is specifically out of whack. It's not working because of friction. What this looks like, well, you finally have space on vacation and your brain won't shut off. You aren't necessarily thinking about work, but you can't let go of something that's bugging you. I noticed someone journaling for a long time, just pages and pages at the coffee shop. They weren't documenting the trip or writing a book. They seemed to be processing their life. I love to see this because journaling is such a valuable strategy for working out what's bugging you. We can look at our work and see the patterns of things that we're talking about over and over, and that should bring on the alarm bells. Most people don't take productive measures like this to work through misalignment, especially on vacation. So kudos to that lady. But instead of facing what's misaligned and solving for it, so many of us stew in a negative thought loop about what we don't like, what's unfair, what's unjust, and get caught up in anger, frustration, and pain because of it. And then we just repeat that loop. One woman spent her entire vacation stewing over how unhappy she was with so-and-so at work, and it quite literally sucked all the energy from those around her. Like, who wants to be around someone that is talking about the same negative situation on and on and on? I wondered if she even stopped to enjoy the trip at all. So depending on your personality type, the friction in your life may follow you on vacation in different ways. You could be the one spiraling or stewing, or this could manifest as being completely shut down. Some people, when they get stressed out, when something's bugging them, they just say absolutely nothing, which is not any better. Where you're somewhere else mentally because you can't get out of what is bothering you from your real life. This is what happens when the truth gets louder. The anger, the resentment, the bother take over your mind, your body, and your personal life. It's like you can't get away from it, even on vacation. So often, when we experience misalignment, we want to talk it to death or not talk about it at all. But that isn't helping fix the problem. The best vacation activities are those that allow you to experience and work through the misalignment in a productive way. You've gotten some physical distance from the person, the issue, the problem. Now is a great time to journal it out. Maybe take a long walk or hike that requires you to get out of your head. Take a break from that problem, because we often find that when we do something completely different, when we step away from it, nature has a way of clearing our hearts and mind. Physical activity is the same. You may be trying to avoid the reality that you're in the wrong environment in your work life, and those issues may or may not be fixable. So the question is, do you want to fix the misalignment in your current work environment or life? Is this the right place for who you're becoming? Misalignment starts to show up everywhere in your life when you don't listen to the signal. When you become aware, that's a good thing, because it's the first step to solving the problem. Then you can map out your options. You have options, you know. So think bigger, different. Maybe you love your job in your industry, but the culture's changed. Maybe you want more responsibility, but you don't believe your current manager sees it in you. Have some conversations with other companies. Test reality. Remind yourself that you're in control of your job and have choices. This can immediately reduce your stress, just reminding yourself of your own control over your own life. You are in control, you have choices, and you're a force to be reckoned with. And then there's the final one, the one that doesn't feel so heavy. This is outgrowth. We all reach a point where we have gone as far down the road that we are on as we want. We've accomplished the goal, or the current work and life scheme has fulfilled its purpose. And it's time to move on to something bigger, something that fits who you're becoming, something that aligns, gives you more meaning, purpose, fulfillment. If this is you, it may come in two forms: awareness and lack of awareness. First, do you realize that you're ready for more? If not, you may think you're burnout or plateaued. In fact, it could be a mixture of several signals that you're experiencing. However, as you become more aware that you're actually ready for more at work or life, the outgrowing type shows up as energetic, clear, expanding. Why? Well, if someone feels stuck in a job that they're done with and they don't feel like they have control, that's a bad feeling. But when someone awakens to the possibilities of a future life for them, that's exciting. You can see it in how someone carries themselves, even on vacation. Relaxed but sharp, engaged and interested. Vacation doesn't feel like an escape, it feels like expansion. Time to dream or dare to dream about the possibilities. I met a couple who were on the boat scouting a new location to move to. What a thrill. They were planning, designing what's next, and making the most of their time to live into their next chapter. When we identify that we're ready to move on beyond what we're currently doing with our careers, our lifestyle, or if we're just ready to change up the timeline completely, yet we don't quite know what to do next or where to go, it feels scary, especially when we're trying to run from it. Maybe the life you have is good enough. Maybe you feel obligated to people or responsibilities to stay where you are. Maybe you just don't feel ready to make a big jump that your internal self knows you're ready for. The bottom line is that nothing is actually wrong. You've just outgrown your circumstances. And becoming aware of this is allowing in the possibility of something greater for you. So, how to lean into this on vacation? Spend some time magical thinking. What would you do with your life if there were no boundaries or limits? What would you do if you let yourself think as large or as wildly as possible? Do some vision mapping. Experience some elevated environments. Go check out some new art galleries or food that you've never had in a culture you've never been with. Find out your passions or test drive a new lifestyle or hobby. You never know where it will take you. What's wonderful about outgrowing your current circumstance is that it doesn't have to be about quitting or fixing your current life in a big way. It's about expanding it, leveling up, elevating. If this is you, ask yourself, who do I want to be in 10 years? What is she like? Where does she live? How does she spend her time? Who's she surrounded by? What does she do for work and for fun? Am I willing to be seen at the next level, to do what it takes to become her? Then make a couple deliberate moves to explore the things that future you would do. Vacation doesn't change you. It simply reveals the patterns seeping through from your real life. The absence of life and work pressure just exposes the actual problems once you're able to get outside of it, to look at it from a new perspective. But most people They see it, they feel it, they even name it, and then they go back home and do nothing. Not because they don't know, but because they never turned clarity into a decision, a timeline, an execution. So if something clicked for you, don't let this become another moment where you almost changed something but didn't. Head over to my website and first, take the Career Burnout Signals Quiz. The link is in the show notes. It may just help you see things more clearly. Life is meant to be lived. You deserve to feel good, live well, and that includes in your career life and on vacation. So enjoy both in a way that best serves you. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next week back home in the States. If you enjoyed today's episode, head over to theboldlife.coach for more resources, join our community, and start living your boldest life today.